So previously in our lessons, we have learned about regular inequalities. We have learned about compound inequalities. Now we are going to be focusing on inequalities that involve absolute value. So this is the main point when it comes to working with inequalities that deal with absolute value. There are two cases, so what I actually want you to do right now is to pause the video and to write down these two cases. We have case 1 where it just has one step, and then we have case 2 that has 3 steps. But pause it, and then when you're finished, I'm going to come back, and then I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. Alright, so we're going to work with this absolute value inequality. So this means the absolute value of m plus 2 is less than 11. So remember, like with absolute values, there are two solution sets. So the first one is a positive and the second one is a negative. So the first case, step 1, all you do, just solve this inequality like it would usually be. So if we have m plus 2 is less than 11, just to solve for m, you subtract 2 from both sides, and m is less than 9. So that's one case. The second case, first thing, flip the sign. So instead of a less than sign, it's going to be a greater than sign. So that's step 1. Step 2, make the solution negative. So the solution in this is a positive 11. So I'm going to make that a negative 11. Next step, solve the inequality like usual. I'm just going to take this m plus 2 and just bring it back down. We keep that exactly the same. So just to solve it, minus 2 on both sides, m is greater than negative 13. Now this is our solution for an inequality with an absolute value of m plus 2 is less than 11. We have two answers. We have m is less than 9 and m is greater than negative 13. So for the first case, solve it like usual. Second case, flip the sign, make the solution negative, then solve the inequality like usual. So what I want you to do now is I want you to try to solve this absolute value inequality. And look back on your notes to try to help you and solve it. So this is the absolute value of 3x minus 3 is less than 12. So pause the video, solve it for both cases, and then unpause the video when you're ready to see what I've done. Alright, so first case, remember, solve it just as like you usually would. So we have 3x minus 3 is less than 12. Alright, to get x by itself, first thing, add 3 to both sides. So we have 3x is less than 15. To get x by itself, divide by 3. Divide by 3. So x is less than 5. This is case number 1. Case number 2. Remember, very first thing that you do, flip the sign. Second thing you do, make the solution negative. That's negative 12. And then keep the left side of the equation the same. Now you just solve it like usual. So I will add 3 to both sides. So we have 3x is greater than a negative 9. If we divide by 3, on both sides. We have x is greater than -3. So these are our two answers. We have x is less than 5 and x is greater than -3. So I have a special absolute value inequality for you. This is also one of your main points. I have the absolute value of y minus 5 is less than a -2. The negative part in the solution is important. Now think back to when we had equations with absolute value that was equal to a negative number. If that absolute value equation was equal to a negative number, the answer was always no solution, right? Same is the exact same thing for absolute value inequalities. If we have a negative number in the solution at the very beginning, if it's a negative number, the answer is no solution. Time for a quick review. Remember, in inequalities involving absolute value, there are two cases. First case, you basically just solve it as usual. The second case, step 1, flip the sign. Step 2, make the solution negative. Then the final step, solve it like usual. If the solution is already negative, the answer is no solution. So take your time with this. I think you all will do fine. Let me know if you have any questions.